Hey everybody, this is Zach Detweiler, your membership chair for the Libertarian Party of Orange County. I am talking today because I spent most of the afternoon in the Senate committee chambers today talking about legislative gun control in the state of Florida. Many of the members of the anti-NRA and anti-assault weapons groups descended on the Senate Capitol today, held a rally, and then entered the chambers to discuss gun control and specifically assault weapons bans. A lot of what we'll discuss today is basically both our sentiments about how we felt actually doing it, but also the importance of letting your voice be heard at the state level especially. Because quite honestly, you know, it's important not just at election time for your voice to be heard, but for everyone to understand that your opinions matter and your opinions might have value. So I was not solo today. I had the newly elected at-large 2 director with me today, aka Mr. Liberty Man, also known as the great Chris Rose from Alachua County, and we have him joining me here today. It was a great honor for me to get to spend the day with him. The don't tread on me, man. Ironically, one of the probably worst things that we had to deal with today was the inherent disregard for the rules of the actual Senate. So this cape that this man is wearing right now is apparently offensive. However, they were allowed to bring in stickers and signs and everything else. The Senate today basically bended the rules to make it seem as if it was fair to all the students who came in and stuff like that, which playing politics is understood, but unfortunately, you know, if we don't hold ourselves to the letter of the law that we write, and we start bending the laws and we start making it so that, you know, basically our government can do whatever they feel like, whenever they feel like, and blatantly disregard rules, well then, what's the point of electing officials if they're just going to do what they want? That's an authoritarianism, and, well, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty far against that. So
power is dangerous enough in the hands of these people, and they show no regard for the restrictions that we've already placed on them and that they've, quote-unquote, placed on themselves. Then that's kind of a scary thought, because if they've been the rules for one, even though you might agree with it, it sets a precedent for them to be able to bend the rules for another. Absolutely. Or bend the rules for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the worst things I think we experienced today was the fact that we got there early. I mean, we were there at 8:30 in the morning. We watched the whole rally. We sidestepped, you know, the main entrance to the lobby so that we could get in there and actually get speaker cards and get put on the docket. The Senate itself did not give 24 hours notice, which is required for any changes in the bill and amendments to the bill to be added. So all of it was late. They actually changed the number of the amendment, or the proposed bill. There's an amendment to the bill to change the wording of the bill, which made it a new bill number. So the cards that we submitted were technically null and void, even though it was the same bill with a few additions. And then on top of that, because during the added amendment portion where you can add stuff to the proposed bill, one of the amendments trying to get added was the assault rifle ban for all citizens, no ownership, no sales, no nothing, anything semi-automatic, including shotguns, including rifles, and including handguns, they tried to ban today.
Which would include revolvers.
Which would include revolvers. I mean, they were talking about taking 85% of the guns out of Florida homes. And one of the things that really pissed both Chris and I off is we came there to speak, and I held my comments to just the assault weapons ban. But because they allowed so many people to bypass the rules of the Senate to give them time, basically what ended up happening is Chris didn't get to actually speak, which is complete. And you know,
I was not very happy about
He was not very happy about it. The Sergeant at Arms talked to us. He actually got to see his senator for Alachua County, Mr. Perry, which was awesome.
Shout out to Senator Keith Perry.
Shout out to Senator Keith Perry. And I do actually thank Senator Keith Perry for voting the way that we would vote on these bills. I don't necessarily agree with the final bill that they ended up referring back to. The initial, so basically what happened, to give you kind of a synopsis, this bill was a pullover from last year. So 7022 was actually brought up last year in last year's businesses, and then it was brought into new business this year. It was under the Appropriations Committee. It got referred from the Appropriations Committee to the Rules Committee, and the Rules Committee is actually who we spoke in front of today. So the Rules Committee shot down a bunch of amendments, and if you check out our page, Libertarian Party of Orange County, you can kind of find a whole rundown of everything that happened. But they shot down the assault weapons ban. They shot down making bump stops illegal. They shot down trigger laws that would require you in your own home to put trigger locks on your guns.
Which would also allow them to come into your own home and verify that you had done that.
And verify.
Like, there's no, take it down to the sheriff's station or, wherever, any kind of government agency, and have them verify it. No, it's actually them going into your house. Hey, do you have one of these? I have to see it. I have to verify.
Yep.
And you cannot say no. It's home invasion. The bump stock was actually, I think it was one of the amendments that had an amendment attached to it. So, an amendment to the amendment, there was a lot of those. And in addition to it being a full-on ban, that was the amendment. The amendment to that amendment was to also ban the possession of it. So not just banning the sale of it in the state of Florida, but also to ban the possession. So you couldn't cross state lines, was the argument. You couldn't buy it online. No, they could actually come into your own residence or theoretically private business and confiscate these from you at the point of, oh, guess what? A gun.
And one of the major arguments that actually was made, and I do credit several of the senators for making this argument on our behalf as our representatives, is that not only is it questionable the wording that they put into it, and I thank President Lee for making this apparent, but the wording that they put in did not require a valid threat. It basically made it so that any questionable threats, police could actually enter your home without a warrant, search your home for weapons, and seize your personal property without due process of a judge or a court. It gave levity to the sheriff's offices to decide what credible threats were and then to act upon them. And some of the stuff that was brought up in discussion by some of the senators was the fact that, it is not okay for any sheriff's office to be given the legal right to enter your private domicile, because the second that you allow that to happen, you have weed in there, automatically you're going to jail. You have any sort of prescription drugs you're not supposed to have, automatically going to jail. If for whatever reason you're collecting rainwater to garden your lawn with, you could go to jail simply because they believe that you were a credible threat, or someone said that you were a credible threat, and therefore they were given the legal authority to enter your household, and therefore anything found under that would have been actually qualified as a legal search because of this law. And that by the way, is not an amendment to the amendment. That is actually in the proposed bill that is now going back to the Appropriations Committee, and is actually most likely, if the Appropriations Committee votes to approve this, which they most likely will, and send it to the Senate floor because they're trying to push through some sort of regulation so it looks like they did something.
I'm helping.
One of the problems that causes is you have a circumvention of searches and seizures amendment, which, I mean, you can constitutionally challenge, but for a period of time, it gives people, law enforcement, the right to enter your house, which is never acceptable. So,
real quick on that, some of y'all that are watching might be thinking, okay, well, I would trust my local sheriff with deciding what is a credible threat. I kind of, I would surrender that freedom for accountability. Okay, let me put it to you this way. So, Sheriff, is it Sheriff Israel or is it
Yep,
is Israel?
sure.
Okay, Sheriff Israel in Brevard County is taking a lot of flack right now for not following up on some of these threats. Okay, what is the mindset? We're talking about every local sheriff's office in Florida, not to mention the precedent it sets for other states. What is the mindset of these sheriffs, that the ones that are actually trying to still protect and serve the community? We'll get into that in a second. By God, I don't want to be lumped into that kind of deal. So I'm just going to go ahead and say maybe this doesn't sound like a real credible threat, but by God, I have to follow up on it because I've seen what happens when you don't. So you have a neighbor that doesn't like you. I know a lot of y'all in here have got problems with neighbors. Okay, but they make one call. Sheriff's department is at your door, coming into your house.
Yep. Hey, even if they're tired of you just being a miscreant, let's call you that, in your own neighborhood, and just doing hood rat shit with your friends, for whatever reason that they deem necessary, it allows it. And while obviously as libertarians we agree that management of both our lives and our community should be done at a local level, I don't believe that circumventing the Constitution is the proper way to do so. Some of the other arguments that were brought up by the few opponents of banning assault rifles and guns and everything like that was the fact that there was a police officer that spoke and outright said, we don't have enough law enforcement officers. There are vacancies that we can't even fill because there are so many old police officers that are leaving the force because it's their time to retire that we can't even fill certain spots. So we are actually at a shortage of police officers. And if we don't have qualified good guys with guns who can go and help out our communities and make sure that the safety of our communities is ensured, especially in situations like this, then what are we really doing for our communities? If we can't protect our communities and our families, then what are we doing? And a lot of people came out to this saying, well, if people don't have guns, then how are we not safe if people don't have guns? Well, the answer to that is people who follow the law, law-abiding citizens, good citizens who believe that whether a law is just or not, that we have to follow process and you have to go and do what we did today in order to change the laws, but the laws are there and we don't want to go to jail doing them. Well, guess what? We're going to follow the law, or I'm just going to hide my guns under my bed and hope no one finds them. But what they're proposing would make it so that gun owners became criminals, and criminals would just keep doing what they're doing. I brought up something today which I think freaked a little people out when I brought it up, but I've used the 3D printed AR lower. I fired almost 3,000 rounds through it. Trust me when I say we could build an entire assault style rifle, semi-automatic rifle, minus some of the components like the barrel and some of the firing mechanisms, out of 3D printed material. It is strong enough, and we have good enough processes now. People with a milling machine, people have private milling machines now. Again, there's going to be a black market for it. Look what happened with drugs and prohibition. All it serves to do is create a criminal underground for something that already has a demand. So either we allow it to legally occur so that society can somewhat control those who have access and I guess the right to use, though we have the right to own and bear weapons, or we can allow it to completely be legal, and so the only people that have them are non-law abiding citizens at this point. And then you have to go through the whole, I guess, process of how do you go and collect 350 million guns from America?
The gentleman who, and by the way, sir, if you ever find this video, if you're watching or if you're watching it now live or sometime in the future, you can reach out to us because we would like to get in contact with you. You brought us some excellent points. I think we have a lot of common ground. We'd love to work with you. He brought up the point that he actually advocated for private citizens to own semi-automatic rifles because of the you want to talk about credible threat? There's credible threats out there from criminals already with the black market. So the police system, the police state can't protect everybody. We need private citizens to still act as a deterrent to these folks who would do us harm with these same weapons that they're trying to get rid of. That there's, I mean, sometimes there's some of us that wish we could just snap our fingers, wave a magic wand, and make all this go away. But you know, what color rainbow did you want to wake up to? The sunshine, anyway. That's not going to be possible. Not going to be possible. So until that moment gets here, and we live in a perfect world, he specifically said, I want individuals to have the same kind of weapons that would be used against them, including by police and other government agencies.
Okay. And he did point out, one of the things that he did mention, kind of as he was being rushed through this, because to be quite honest, the only thing the Senate really wanted to hear today was the pro assault weapons banners. They voted everything down. They knew they were going to pretty much vote everything down, but they wanted to give them time to talk, so they kind of shut us up a little bit. But one of the points that he made is a well-trained militia is both important and necessary. But one of the key factors of that is a well-trained militia. So that means that as responsible gun owners, it is our responsibility to go to the firing range, to know how to clean our weapons, to know how to use our weapons, to know how to safety our weapons, to know how to carry our weapons, and to know how to transfer our weapons. If we're going to have not the privilege, but the opportunity as responsible adults to own something, then just like a car, you need to know when you get an oil, or need to know when to go get an oil change. You need to change your tires when they're bald.
It's personal responsibility.
It is. As a gun owner, you don't leave a gun out on the table when your 3-year-old's running around. It's just common sense. And if you need the government to teach you common sense, well, actually, I take that back. If you need the government to teach you common sense, that says everything right there. Because the government is the most non-common sense thing I can think of.
Yeah. We've seen so many failings just in the past week alone right here in Florida, and these are the people that you want to give the authority on all this stuff to.
And let's be real. You know, the officers who were given power down in, what was it, Broward County? Broward County.
It was Broward? Okay.
Yeah.
I always get them two mixed up.
There were 4 sheriff's officers who didn't go in while there was gunfire. Now, you can say that they were securing the perimeter or doing this or doing that, but at the end of the day, if someone is shooting at children and you fail to act, you do take on a certain amount of personal responsibility, because you have a gun on a school campus with the sole purpose of making sure that those children are safe, and you stood there. That is personal responsibility, and you failed at personal responsibility. The other thing that I guess got brought up, and the main purpose for actually both Chris and I going, was the fact that, and it is still in this bill, that they want to restrict the purchase of sales of firearms.
All firearms.
All firearms. To anyone who's under 21. Now, currently you can buy shotguns and you can buy rifles, but you cannot buy handguns if you are under the age of 21. You can own them, you cannot purchase them. It's an interesting distinction, I guess you could say. But one of the important things to take away is the fact that Marcos Morales, our chair for the state party, he put out a post this weekend that is kind of important to talk about, because he grew up in Hialeah. It's not a great area. For Orange County, we have it too. Not quite Paramore, but you go a little further down Colonial and you know what we're talking about. And there are certain areas that are unsafe for people. I mean, we're not talking about gangbangers shooting gangbangers. We're talking about stray bullets entering people's houses and people getting hurt. We're talking about children being afraid to walk to school and from school in daylight hours because they're afraid of getting harassed or injured by gang members. We're talking about societies where people are afraid to do anything, and he kind of grew up in that area where there aren't some great people down there sometimes. And he told this story about the fact that, he lived with his grandparents and his brothers and sisters, and at 18 years old, he was getting harassed, and he had troubles with people, and, he was unable to go and purchase a weapon to even keep his household safe. We're not talking about bringing this out into the streets and having concealed weapons and everything like that as a minor. We are talking about it being in your nightstand. So if you hear a window broken or a door open, you can defend yourself and your family. If you don't have that option as an American, at this point, I don't know what we have left. It's an all-out assault on people's freedoms and liberties at this point. And I truly believe that we really need to look at the state of the United States and ask ourselves, are we okay with where things are, or are we really at the precipice where we are talking about taking away one of the constitutional amendments that the Founding Fathers put in? It wasn't like they put it in at the end or added it to it later. It was the second one after our right to say and do as we please as long as we don't harm others. The freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of belief. Right after that is our right to defend those beliefs. So, once you take that away, once you take away the right to not have unjust searches and seizures, once you take away the right to due process, once you take away these things, what do we have left? Well, we're halfway to a socialist state at that point.
The whole reason for writing the Second Amendment was to, I can't tell you how many arguments we heard about deer today.
You don't need a semi-automatic rifle to shoot a deer. Well, let me tell you, a single-shot rifle is great if you're great with a shot, but you clip that thing in the shoulder and it's going to bleed out in about 6 days and really hurt itself. So sometimes you do actually need a semi-automatic rifle to go hunting just to make sure that the
these are also the people that think you should only get your meat from the grocery store where no animals are harmed.
Unless you're vegan, in which case every animal is harmed, and peace be with them.
You're taking away their food supply. Come on. Anyway, we're getting a little bit off topic here. The whole premise, the whole reason, there I go again, the whole reason for writing the Second Amendment was that so we could protect our other rights. You take that away, and what's gonna protect our rights? The government. The government is the one. The government is the only entity infringing on our rights.
Yep.
It's not. I don't. It's.
Yep.
It's not the terrorists. The terrorists are not infringing on your rights like government is. Yep. I would also argue that we wouldn't have terrorists if we didn't have government. But that's a whole other talking about going off on a limb.
Well, before we go diving off into that abyssal plane, I will say this, and maybe in closing arguments or just in final discussions.
You didn't want to talk about the monstrosity that was the meeting today?
Go watch the meeting.
I don't think we have battery life for that.
If you wanna watch that, I will actually go when I finally get home tonight at God knows probably 1 a.m. tonight. I will go ahead and post the full video. I'll find it online.
You need to see this. You need to actually see what is being thrown. And
don't get angry at it, and have a drink in your hand while you watch it. That's all I'm gonna say, because we couldn't while we were there.
Oh, Lord.
But as libertarians, the core premise of our belief is that we have the ability to be not just responsible, but have the duty to be helpful to our neighbors, to be good people, to show people that we can apply the non-aggression policy to everyday life and that it works. As members of the Libertarian Party, it's our responsibility to show people that, hey, there are 83 million estimated gun owners in America today.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough. Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
Out of 320 million estimated people in America, 83 million people own guns.
So
of those,
either the government is really bad at math, or we're not doing our due diligence.
Yes, but at the same time, the point I'm trying to get at is, with that many gun owners and this few mass shootings, there are obviously responsible gun owners out there, and to turn them into legal felons without victims. Their only victims were legally and properly owning them prior to a bill getting passed and now becoming felons simply for the fact that Mafeelins got hurt. You know, a lot of the arguments that we heard today were completely emotional. There were no facts behind them, and the facts that they used were grossly negligent in their representation. And I think it's important for us as libertarians to really stand up and go, hey, you are not going to have this opportunity to take this away from us anymore. You are not going to have this opportunity to just try to bum rush the Senate and get passed through bills and laws that strip millions of people of their rights and their due process.
He's not kidding. They were beating on the door.
They were chanting so loud, we had to go into recess for 5 minutes because the people outside of the committee room were chanting and screaming. Chris was followed around all day with a video camera by an old lady because she thought he was a part of, like, I don't know.
She thought I was NRA.
Yeah, she really did.
I even told her to her face at the very start, I'm not actually NRA. I should have probably told her this, because had I known that I was going to get followed around anyway and accused of being, I'd probably say, listen, I'm not a member of the NRA because the NRA is not pro-gun enough for me.
Listen, the NRA is weak sauce, okay? Come to one of our meetings. I'm just kidding. No, but really when it comes down to it is your right to choose. The whole, you know, Democrats talk about needing, that minorities need protection, that minorities needs protection. One of the founding principles of libertarianism is the fact that the individual is the smallest minority that there is, and they need the greatest protection from government, because without it, government will start to take away their rights. And we had a perfect example of this today, and we really need to recognize that if we don't start getting invigorated, if we don't start getting organized and going out and lobbying and making sure that these bills do not oppress and don't unjustly take away our rights and our liberties without due process, that they are not just struck down, but they are vehemently opposed. And, you know, you had chants in what I like to call the echo hall today of, you know, vote them out, vote them out. Well, guess what? They will get voted out, but they're going to get new electors. And who are those electors going to be? They're going to be libertarians. And in 8 years, when these 15-year-olds finally decide to sign a voter registration card and actually get out to a ballot to vote for any of their state legislators, we will be leaps and bounds past them. We will have people running for office, and we will have people getting elected. But I really want to take this time to stress the fact that that doesn't happen if we don't get out there and make it happen. It doesn't happen if we don't get volunteers to come out and to sign petitions, to go to the state legislator, to have people like Donald, who, you know, we met at a conference just this weekend. He goes to FSU, he lives 10 minutes away, and this was something that he was passionate about. He's 18 years old and not legally allowed to purchase a handgun to keep at his private residence off campus to keep himself safe. You know, and he didn't get to speak because of those rules, because of those laws, because of the BS that is going on that restricts him to do that. You know, and I get the intention of the law. Let's keep it safe. Let's keep them out of the hands of people that can do harm. But guess what? We're not keeping them out of the hands of people that do harm. They're just going to go to the black market and buy them. What we're doing is we are creating a society that allows us to supersede people's rights, and we have to start doing something about it. So I encourage everyone watching, I encourage, honestly, everyone in general, to get active. Don't just form your opinions on what you hear on CNN. Don't just form your opinions on the 4 or 5 friends that you have, but go out and do research. Actually read the bills that are on the docket. One of the craziest things that I saw today was 50% of the people in the room didn't even know what the bill said. They didn't even listen to the senators when they read it off, or even listen to the amendments being opposed. They were just so against it. They didn't care. Nothing was enough until they were all gone. And one of the things that we need to be better at is doing our due diligence to make sure that we read laws and we make sure that the bad parts are cut out and the good parts are kept in, until we have a society and a government that is run locally and that we are able to actually control as a community, and not some crazy monster that is run by the Trump machine. you know, and not just Trump machine, but you have Democrats
the duopoly.
on the duopoly, because you have Democrats on the other side that spent, you know, almost $750,000 on a special election for a House member in the Florida House that will only be seated for 5 months. They spent nearly $1 million on a campaign for someone that will be there for less than 6 months.
And won't even have any legislative power.
Barely at all. She is only going to get one session and it's done. But they spent almost $1 million on it. For $1 million, do you realize the type of outreach that could have been done to truly help people? And that was spent purely on referendum ads. So yeah. I guess my point is, and Chris can tell you as at large and stuff like that, just get out there. If you need help, contact us. If you want ideas, we will give them to you. If you want to know how you can get activated in your region, reach out to the LPF. Reach out to your local affiliate. If you don't have a local affiliate, reach out to your directors at large. You have Allison Foxall, you have Chris Now, and you have Greg Peel. Look them up on our state party website. Contact their emails and ask them how you can get your counties affiliated. We need voices everywhere. We need voices in every single community, and we need you to come out and speak. We need you to understand that your voices can be heard. Your voices aren't wasted. Your voice is more important than anything because it is your opinion, and if that opinion isn't represented, then there is no point to government. So I guess unless you have any words of wisdom,
I don't know.
Not to go far off the spectrum, but,
right. Okay. Well, I wanted to say this to everyone watching and will be watching in the future. The Democrats, especially the Democrats, but the Democrats and the Republicans are pouring millions and millions of dollars, and I would probably argue over 50% of their outreach right now is targeting these first-time voters. Mm-hmm. These kids, these students, which they're being used purely for political gain. Yep. But they are targeting them and getting to them now, years before they can even vote, okay? They're 14-year-olds are up here speaking. At 14 years old, they're up here speaking to the state.
Yep. Now, granted, they're brainwashed, but I love the energy, the fact that there are 14-year-olds getting involved in government. We just need to make them realize that
how much more should we be? How much more should we be reaching out to them?
Yes.
Because if we don't get to them, and if we don't get to them now, they are going to register to vote, and by then they will have grown up knowing nothing else than what is being poured into them right now.
Yep.
Which is why, as at large, I intend to introduce and lobby for one of my goals for this position here, as in this newly elected position of mine. I said that all wrong. Anyway, is to if I have to self-fund it, I will. But put forth a plan for the Libertarian Party of Florida at the state party level to target these millennials and these first-time voters and these children. I don't want to politicize, teenagers. I don't want to do that, but I want to at least be able to reach out to them.
Yep. I
don't want to try and brainwash them. I'm as much as I like to fight fire, I would fire. We have integrity and we have morals, so I'm not gonna do it exactly how the duopoly system is doing, but I want to at least let them know that there is a different choice, an alternative.
Give our kids real education in their educational institutions. Give them real facts and real ideas, and give them the ability to actually independently think instead of just sending them down one of the two rabbit holes. We need to go out and reach out to all of the libertarians that are registered in our affiliates. All of the libertarians. Find out. We were at Mellow Mushroom after conference the other day. Well, this man wasn't. He was celebrating with some other people. But there were about 15 people at Mellow Mushroom. And one of the coolest things that happened is our server, unbeknownst to her that we were a political party, she thought we were just a bunch of crazy people. It's actually...
Wait, we're not...
Another subject. No, but she was a registered libertarian, and she votes libertarian. Out of all the people we could have gotten to serve us, and you never know where you're going to find them. You never know what is going to be that catalyst to get them involved. So, be noticeable. Market your affiliates. Brand your affiliates. Make yourselves visible in the community. Go out to your legislative bodies, whether they're commissioners or whether they're mayors or whether they're senators or representatives or whatever they are. Make your presence known and let them know that you stand for something, that you stand for principles. Go get all the registered libertarians in your area and get them active. Go after the NPAs, who honestly are logical voters, and that's the reason that most of them don't vote, because we don't have logical candidates. Help our party grow. Let's make 2018 the referendum on the fact that we are sick and tired of not having candidates that actually stand for values. They just stand for votes. Let's get out there and make our party about something. You can't sit on your keyboards. You can't sit around and do nothing. You have to take the small opportunities when you get them. You have an afternoon off, and there's, a city council meeting down the road at 4:30. Well, enjoy your afternoon off, and then get there by 3:30. Sign your papers to speak, and speak on something that you're passionate about. Anything that is on the bill that you or on the docket that you disagree with, that you have an opinion about, whatever, just let them know that there are libertarians in their community, and the libertarians have a voice now.
This bill could have been so much worse than it was, y'all.
It was.
I want y'all to understand. We were a couple of votes away from advancing full-on Hitler-esque style gun control.
Yep. It was a 6 to 7 vote.
Edge?
It was a 6 to 7 vote against adding the amendment for a full a full semi-automatic ban on all weapons, which means bolt action and single fire would have been the only two options allowed in the state of Florida, and we were one vote away from that being into an amendment that would have most likely been passed on for consideration and appropriation. So it's small votes like that. One representative's opinion can change the entire course of history for millions of people. It is absolutely important that we have people who are willing to stand up and stand for something.
Because other people are standing up, they're standing for something. Now, while I can commend them for being active, because that kind of lights a fire under us. How does it not?
Absolutely.
Brainwashed or not, they were able to have been gotten to enough to ride 12, 14 hours up here to Tallahassee from all over Florida. There was buses from all over Florida.
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale bus left at 1:30 a.m. this morning.
And it's not getting back till 2:30 in the morning. And there are people going to fill a bus.
All of this, and that is who is lobbying your officials.
Yep.
What are we doing? Sitting on our keyboards, playing on our phones, writing comments. That's great to a certain extent, but
by the way, thanks for everyone watching and commenting. We appreciate you.
Yeah. You can write comments on our stuff. It's okay. But and I'm not telling you not to do that on your public officials page.
Yes.
Go on there, register with Facebook, comment as a constituent.
Actually, that's
very
a
important.
Great point. So on Facebook, they have a really great option. If you like all of anyone who is your representative, from the state level to the U.S. congressional level to your commissioners to anyone else. And Facebook now actually has a great option. If you start commenting on their pages, Facebook is going to ask you for your address. Once you put your address in, it will validate you as a constituent within their party, and it will add an icon next to your name. That icon lets your representatives know that when you speak on their page, you are speaking as someone who is a voting party in their constituency. And that is important, because that voice makes them reconsider everything. If you make valid points, one person talking means that you probably have 100 people that agree with your opinion. 2 people talking, probably 500 people that agree. When you get 10 to 15 people on one subject that all agree in the same premise, that is a voting block within their constituency, and it scares them. So get out there and make your voices heard.
Because the other people are doing it.
Because other people are doing it
to their face.
Yes, and they are doing it with zeal. So I guess in submission, the only thing that we can really say is, get involved. We walked into a room with, I am not kidding you, when we showed up, it is 2 of us, and it is about to start pouring rain, and there's a rally about to start outside, and a cameraman looks at me and goes, "Wow, a guy in a white shirt. So I guess you're not anti-guns, good luck with the rain and good luck with this protest.
Yeah.
Takes a picture of me and then keeps on walking.
And then
we didn't know what was
started.
coming for
It started. They marched.
Yes, they did.
Through the streets, blocked off the streets.
Yep.
Had a police. These are people walking. The buses are showing up.
Yes.
This is another separate wave that's already dismounted
Several
outside.
hundred people that walked up, and you have two people.
Yeah.
One of these men who is wearing a "Don't Tread on Me" flag on the back of him. Two of us against an army of people, and our voices were heard.
It was surreal, y'all.
Inside of an echo hall of several hundred people sitting inside, and probably several hundred more standing outside chanting, and our voices were heard. Our opinions were heard, and our opinions mattered because our opinions ended up being the way that the vote went.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that was the way it was going to go to begin with, or if we might have changed a mind or two there, but the important part is we said our piece. We didn't get angry. We didn't get aggressive. We didn't attack anybody. We didn't go after anybody. We presented facts. Not only did we present facts, we presented facts that talked about people's rights as individuals, not just to choose, but to have the right to choose. Yeah. If you subscribe to the non-aggression policy, where unless someone attacks you, you don't attack them, everything past that is just civil discourse and par for the course. Mm-hmm. And that's how we have to go about everything from this point on. Have civil conversations with people. Research. Get your facts and go have conversations with people. Change hearts and minds. It is absolutely going to be important going forward.
I didn't get to speak. I didn't get to speak before the official commission. However, one, they know I was there because my name is on the record as being signed up along with my policy. But you know what? I got to talk to probably 30, talk to probably 30 of the people in this echo chamber, and some of them were really just there supporting someone else who was there. So they were the ones who weren't, being loud and obnoxious, and there were
enough of them.
It was an angry mob. It was an angry mob.
But you realize that these groups, they don't speak with a single voice. There are individuals with opinions, and I got a husband in trouble because he was a pastor, and he's like, listen, I'm for common sense gun reform, but this whole banning of gun stuff, it ain't gonna happen. Yeah. And he's wearing a shirt that says "Don't support the NRA," and his wife looks over at him and slaps him and forces him to stop talking to me.
I had a couple of same experiences outside in the stairwell, waiting in the outside the main chamber in the echo hall. This woman, one of the people who was following me around all day, she was just trying to ask me a bunch of gotcha questions, and I just kept pivoting back to the premise. Yep. By the way, this is a lady who also wanted to ban semi-automatic shotguns because she thought that duck hunting should be illegal as well. So just to give you a taste of the amount of I started to say the amount of crazy, but you know what? They're active, so they're not that crazy because the amount of activism, let's just go with that, that's out there. But the husband is sitting there and he's paying me compliments and saying, you know what, you make a lot of sense, you're a great speaker, and I wasn't the one who was emotional, and I think he appreciated that. And
never speak with emotion. Always allow yourself to have logical arguments, because when you emotionally go after people or you make your argument all about emotion is good sometimes, but it allows your argument to have cracks within your argument. When you create an argument based on facts, then it allows you to actually have a discussion about the facts without personally being attacked. Mm-hmm. So someone can disagree with my facts, but at the end of the day, we can still go have a drink together. If I start attacking Chris on his beliefs or his principles, then at the end of the day, we might never be able to have that drink and find things that we have in common. So, just be respectful of people, but have those conversations. Have them often, have them plentiful, and don't be afraid to have them. Because you'd be surprised. People love to talk to other people. We are social creatures by nature. So
when you go out to these meetings, keep in mind that you're not just talking as I can't advocate strongly. I can't advocate enough for you to go out there and talk to your local representatives. But you're also exposing yourself to the other people who are there talking, who might be of a difference of opinion, and they hear your opinion too. you also have the opportunity for some media coverage. Okay, that's wonderful. A gentleman approached me while I was in conversation with this lady and with her husband sitting there kind of nodding more towards me than her. And he said, "Hey, I'm from CNN. Can I interview you?" So I doubt if I'll ever see it. If I do, I guarantee it won't be the entire thing because he recorded a bunch of stuff.
But Chris
CNN
got recorded on
CNN.
Yes. A national news network recorded us because we were there and we had an opinion. And that's what we need to start. We need to have people going out to commission meetings, to county council meetings, to everything, and take every opportunity to talk to everyone you can because you don't know where it's going to lead. So I'm going to raise a class because honestly, we need a drink. For those of you out there about to blast me because I gave up alcohol for Lent, I think everyone will be okay with me taking this one shot because we did something.
You come to Tallahassee and talk to the state senate.
You can break Lent for a day. So guys, as possibly some of the future and current leadership of this party, and definitely two guys who want to see our party grow and want to see the direction of our party not just positive but impactful and actually having an effect on true legislation. I can't encourage you enough. Get active, do it often, and enjoy it. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to have opinions. Just be afraid of not being able to have the conversation that follows.
Speaking of party recognition, I was able to hand deliver an official press release by the LPF.
Yep.
My plan was to read it and then ask for permission to approach and give it to the chair of the meeting, but I didn't get that opportunity. But I still got it to them.
Yep.
I was able to meet with Senator Perry as soon as the meeting adjourned. I gave it to him, and he got to see libertarians at his place of work at the state level with a signed official press release from the Libertarian Party of Florida. We were there that he's going to share with his colleagues.
We are not some keyboard warriors that are just sitting around making some noise. We showed up at his place of business, and he knows it. And that's the fear that we need to start putting into them. Because up until now, they didn't fear us. They didn't even believe that we would show up. All they believed